I just got done doing 7 straight years in prison for businesses and high net worth entrepreneurs. Today, I'm going to show you the one prompt that changed how I vibe code with these large language models and why you should never, ever accept the first output an AI gives you. Okay, stop me right now if this sounds familiar. You ask Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, whoever to build you something, right? Maybe it's a contact form. Maybe it's like just an API endpoint or something like that. It doesn't really matter. The AI, it spits back some code. It's looking clean, y'all. You hyped up. You end up pasting that shit into Lovable and boom, it works. No way. Fast forward 2 weeks. You trying to add a feature. Nothing works. You finding all these bugs, all these errors. You're going back and forth with the AI like 20 or more times now, just trying to patch up holes. So you spending more time fixing issues, fixing the mess, than if you just built it right from the first time. One of the biggest things, or one of the quotes I would always remember, Hassard, he used to come through, do count time at night. You know, you got to be on your bunk. Obviously, it's almost very similar to the army and stuff like that, where they come in and they count each inmate. I used to always ask SARS, like, yo, why do you walk so slow and count so slow, knowing that no one likes this process of being counted? He said, it's funny that everyone is in such a rush for time, but when they make a mistake, there's always time to do it again. So you might as well take your time and do it right the first time. So I used to go through this back and forth with ChatGPT or Claude like every single day. And I was really paying for it, okay? Not in money, but in time, in software debt, and straight up frustration. When I talk about software debt, I mean when you are building like complex software solutions and you end up vibe coding. I'm gonna just say vibe coding. So when I talk about software debt, I'm talking about how when we vibe code like these complex software solutions and we really don't know what the AI is doing, so we'll just start building and building and building and making it. You can already tell how large language models are so ready to just build and do because they're always asking you more questions after you give them a prompt. Okay, they're just like, hey, do you want me to do this for you? You want me to do that for you? So they're just pretty much stacking up just a bunch of like architectural debt that you just don't know how to clean. And if you don't just approach these ways, or you don't approach these builds in a systematic and deterministic way, then you'll end up not in a good position. So check it out, right? So large language models are definitely incredible, but they have one huge major flaw when you're building real software. They optimize for looking right instead of being right. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let's just say that you ask Claude to build you a contact form in React for Lovable. For those of you who don't know what Lovable is, that's pretty much an absolutely, matter of fact, I can actually go there for you guys. So for those of you who don't know what Lovable is, this is Lovable right here. It's pretty much just like a complete like app coding or development software in the cloud. It's super, super phenomenal. It started out for me, I used to use it a bunch for like landing pages and stuff like that, but you can really build an entire app through Lovable, no questions asked. It's like connected to Superpage and connected to your GitHub. It really gets like super, super deep. You can give Claude, let's just say we're trying to, make like a little contact form, for Claude and stuff like that. So Claude will give you like this beautiful looking component. It's got like all the inputs. It's got buttons. It's styled nice, and you run it and it works like very, very well. But what it doesn't have is it ends up not having like complete email validation. It doesn't have rate limiting, so people can't spam your inbox. It has no error handling if the email service is down. Accessibility for screen readers, loading state so users know it's sending. All of these type of things, like I did not know until I made the mistake of not prompting correctly. Okay, you wouldn't know this as well because it looks good and it runs. So you end up shipping it, you end up deploying it, but that is the trap. First outputs are MVPs in the worst way. Okay, they do the happy path, but they don't think through the edge cases, the failures, the real world use cases. One of the biggest things when it comes to vibe coding is there is no functionality to the features that most AIs or large language models create. And this is something that you have to get all the way right with when it comes to prompting. I'm going to have this entire prompt in the description as well. You guys can come to go to Gumroad, get it completely for free. And that's not the AI's fault. You just did not ask or know how to properly prompt AI into giving you the solution in which you were looking for. So here's what I learned the hard way. You got to make the AI check its own work before you use it, before you actually actually check its work. AI is very, very good at creating stuff, super good at creating stuff, super good at regurgitating stuff. But when it comes to checking its work and like complete functionality, that's something that you have to kind of like, let's say, vibe, or that's what we like to call vibe code with it. So that's what this prompt does. This is what I call the SWOT review prompt. Every time I get an output from Claude, ChatGPT, or whatever, and I mean every time, y'all, I run it through this before it touches any type of coding. Let me tell you exactly what the SWOT analysis does. And I got the SWOT from, I used to go to Tuskegee University. This is marketing, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I used to always tell myself, like, hey, how can I make my prompts better? Maybe I should just make it go through a complete SWOT analysis. So strengths, what's working this output? Weaknesses, what's missing, what's buggy, what's half-baked, and we have the opportunities. What could possibly be better? And then we go into the threats. What could break this in production? A lot of systems that I see being built, especially on YouTube by these so-called gurus, is they're not production ready. Okay, they're showing you that they can put some modules together, but when it comes to actually delivering result, delivering value to businesses, increasing revenue, saving time, they don't do that. Trust me, they do not do that. It's like what, like I forgot the exact statistics, but AI is not having the impact in which people really thought it would be by now. Okay, so what else does this SWOT analysis or SWOT prompt does? It builds a fixed plan for every weakness. Okay, priority levels, you got PO, and then you got P1, P2, which is nice to have, because a lot of times AI will build a lot of nice to have features that you don't really need for shipment. Okay, the exact change needed, an acceptance test to verify the fix, where in the code it needs to happen. Okay, and then it regenerates the entire output with those fixes baked in. After all of that, it gives you a QA report showing what changed and what's still left to do. So instead of doing 20 iterations back and forth, trying to patch things up, trying to get AI to do what the fuck you want it to do, you just do one structured review and you get a way better output. This is prompt engineering, which is very, very important moving forward as large language models take over and take control of more and more actions and duties, that, or tasks, take on more and more tasks, for humans. So let's go ahead and get into the SWOT analysis. So this is what happens without the SWOT review. You are the developer right here. What a guy. Developer. You talk to large language model, you have it do some code, it looks absolutely phenomenal. And then after that, when you try to go fix something or when you try to go add a feature, things are broken. You don't know what's going on. It's so much stuff to actually fix in the background. It has been times where I have literally spent days vibe coding something and then having to go back and start all the way from scratch because there is the large language model could not find the issue, it could not find the problem. So let's say that we do have the SWOT analysis. As you can see, it's a lot more streamlined. Hey, go code this for me. I then use SWOT review prompt on the back end to say, hey, review this prompt. Once it does that to itself, it's pretty much just like a self-learning. Once it does that, then it outputs and hey, we are good. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into like an actual real setup in a real form. All right. Let's do this live so people can actually see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to build like a very, very super basic contact form. Okay. Name, email, message, and then a send button. So let's go ahead and get into Claude. Okay, so here we'll use this as a prompt. Build me a contact form component in React for Lovable. It should have fields for name, email, and message, and send the form data to an API endpoint when submitted. Okay, so we'll wait and see what Claude is able to give us here. More than likely, it's going to give us, a functional component, probably some use state, form fields, handle submit buttons, basic styling, stuff like that. So once we get this prompt from Claude, then I'm just going to paste it into Lovable, and we're going to see exactly what happens then. So we'll get this code here because it actually coded it for us right here. We'll go into Lovable, we'll paste it in. We'll let Lovable do its thing. Now we could test it right here if we wanted to. We'll do Cameron at loveshotsmedia.com. Hey, this is a test for YouTube. Send that message. And this is pretty much where most people always stop. They usually think like, okay, cool, I'm done, everything's good. But as you can see right here, it says your API endpoint here. To use it, replace your API endpoint here. Okay, where is that? You would know, hey, we got to go to the code and then look in the code. I'll usually like just like Control F and then just take this to try to understand, to figure out where it is within the code. You'll go crazy right here. So then you'll just put your API endpoint right here. But if you are just a vibe coder, like I was, like freshly getting out of prison, I don't know anything about these API endpoints and all this type of software jargon. So you would like end up creating all of this beautiful stuff, like right here, which this is a test. Send that message. Sending message sent successfully. Will get back to you soon. Most people are like, oh, okay, we good. Like, we good. But hey, let's go ahead and put the SWOT analysis. Let's go ahead and put this prompt on them. Always save your prompts. You'll realize that too here moving forward. Put the SWOT in there and we'll see what it does. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I have a lot of fun sitting back here doing all this coding, vibe coding, like banging my head, trying to troubleshoot, debug issues, trying to figure out how to tell like the large language models exactly what's going on with the code, how we can possibly debug it the best effective way. So, moving forward, like I want to give access to software development for everyone. Like that's super big, especially for, my group of people. Obviously, the niggas, we not really vibe coding. We're not into the computers as much as we need to be, period, point blank. We need to get all the way how we need to be with AI, period. Yes. It said if you wanted me to, I just click yes for the sake of brevity. So here we are right here as it's showing us exactly what's going on with the strengths. Clean React. Includes loading states, tailwind, form. None of that stuff matters, to be honest with you. You can just use AI to understand all of that. But here we are with the weaknesses. Okay, no input validation beyond HTML5. This is absolutely required. Okay, hard-coded API endpoint. That's here, right here. We already know where is this stuff going. It has nowhere to go once we send it, even though it said in here clearly, hey, message sent successfully. The anchor line's missing. It's just so much stuff going on. Okay. Once we get to all the way here, then we'll get to the optimized output version 2, which we can then be able to input or insert into our Lovable. Now, this is exactly what I would do or what I do for each and every prompt that I create. Before I insert it into any type of environment, I run it through the SWOT first and foremost. Okay, here is version 2. Even though it probably still got that API endpoint. So let's go ahead and put this into Lovable. So every single one of these mistakes would have bitten me like later on in the development. Like I said, not having that HTML, which is absolutely required. It's just you just always want to be careful when you're just doing all this vibe coding when it comes to these softwares. The SWOT analysis was able to actually pinpoint for me, which is very, very important when it comes to vibe coding and communicating with these large language models. We don't know the best way. We don't know the most effective way to talk to the large language models. They do. So I always ask it like, what is the best way to talk to that? What is the best way to do that? So for each weakness, like like we said, is giving exactly like the priority of the weakness. Like, is this something that needs to be done right now? Can this wait? And stuff like that. So here is the actual flow of the SWOT analysis. We ingest the prior output. Okay, so it takes in the last prompt that it did. It then runs the complete SWOT analysis on it. Okay, so it finds all of the weaknesses with citations, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. It then creates a plan, as you can see right here. It creates the plan. Once it creates the plan, it then regenerates the optimized version 2 of that prompt. So you can be able to actually, have something that is a little bit closer to production ready. Okay, that's really much what we're doing when it comes to vibe coding. We're trying to get as close to production ready code as possible from the get-go. Okay, we don't want to be sitting here vibing all day every day. We want to make sure that we are getting to the end goal as quick as possible. After that, it does some QA and verification. Okay, and the key is just to really stay grounded. Okay, it has to point to where the weaknesses exist. It can't just make stuff up. That's what this SWOT analysis is like super good for, especially when it comes to like vibe coding. So when you look at the optimized version, now we've got proper email validation. Okay, we got user-friendly error handling. We got loading states with a spinner. Ooh, nice. We got rate limiting, success message. We just got a lot of stuff that really it was not a part of that first build. And this is what I should have gotten from the start if I just known how to prompt a lot better. Okay, but the SWOT prompt knew exactly what I needed. Like I said, every single output that I ever do, every single prompt that I use, especially when it comes to building software, I always use this SWOT analysis. I don't care if it's a small function, if it's a whole feature. If a large language model generated it, I run it through this SWOT review before I use it. It's especially critical when you are building system architecture, when you have some type of complex features that you're trying to add, like authentication or payments or stuff like that. You don't want to get the payments wrong. You don't want to build a software for someone and their payment processing is wrong. You charging $10 for something that costs $10,000. We ain't even gonna talk about that. Debugging fixes and then refactoring. Okay, so my process: I write the initial prompt, right? I get the output, immediately run the SWOT. I don't even read the first output a lot of the times. I run it through SWOT. I get to version 2, and if needed, I may iterate on just specific things within that prompt. It takes an extra like 2 to 3 minutes up front, but it ends up saving hours on the back end, you guys. Hours, I'm trying to tell you. So these are the strengths and the weaknesses when it comes to the actual prompting and stuff like that. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We want to make sure that we are staying abrupt and using SWOT analysis, a SWOT prompt as much as possible. But I understand when you vibing with AI, you just want that instant gratification. Everyone does. My homeboy told me the other day that he getting pissed off that it's taking ChatGPT a minute to do, or like 8 minutes to do some deep research, where a couple years ago it took 3 weeks to do something like that. But we are humans. We want that instant gratification. You want to be able to paste the code and keep moving. I understand. But I want you to trust me when I tell you this. I learned this the most expensive way possible. That first outputs is almost never complete. The SWOT review prompt is how you stop accumulating software debt. It's how you stop having those, wait, what the hell is going on? Why is this shit broken? And how do I fix it moments? It's how you build like someone who actually knows what they're doing, even when you're still learning. So I'm dropping this prompt in the description. Copy it, save it, use it on everything, you guys. Like I said, I'm trying to make this as accessible as possible to everyone to be able to really build, because AI is here and it really allows us to really build some really powerful softwares that can compete with the best of the best. I'm just really excited about the times that we're in right now. And if you want more prompts like this, the ones that I built through straight up trial and error and paying for the mistakes, subscribe, because I'm breaking down every single prompt that I've saved during my entire career. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to implement it, why you should implement it, and where to implement it. Stop accepting that first output and start building better. I'll see y'all in the next one.